Welcome to Internet Quality Academy. The channel is for the quality control engineer, site engineer, and the civil engineer who are working in the construction field. In this channel, we are dealing with anything and everything which is required to get success in the construction industry. Today also, I am going to discuss about a very important topics about the quality control. That is how to prepare material approval request for the reinforcement bar or the reinforcement steel. So what are the document required, what are the tests required, what are the authority approval required, what is the statutory document required, that all I will discuss in today's video about the how to prepare material approval request for the reinforcement steel. So stay tuned until the end to get the full information. And if you are new on my channel, kindly subscribe my channel and hit the bell icon so that whenever I upload a new video, you will get immediate notification. So without wasting time, let's jump into the subject, that is material approval request for the reinforcement steel. So what is material approval request? That means material approval request, that means you need to take approval prior to purchase the material. So from whom? From the client, from the consultant, or the concerned authorities. You need to take the approval before purchase the material. So that is called the material approval request. And once you get the approval, then only you can start processing or purchasing the material. So that is the material approval request. So what is material approval request? How to prepare a material approval request? I have made a detailed video on that. Link is there or in the description. Please check the link. You will find all the information about the material approval request or how to prepare material approval request for the projects. But today, how to prepare material approval request for the reinforcement bar. So first is that you need to provide some general information whenever you are preparing material approval request. So where you will give this all general information, there will be a form called the material approval request form. On that form, you need to write down these are all the things. What that means, you need to first find out what is the project's name. You need to write down the project name, then who is the client, who is the PMC, and who is the main contractor, or who is the supplier or the manufacturer. That you need to mention in the general information. Then material name and types. Now what is the material you want to get approved and what is the type of material? Here you need to find out, say that we need to get it approved. The reinforcement bar may be 8 dia, 10 dia, 20 dia, whatever it is. And what is the grade, that also you need to mention. So I will come later. Then supplier and vendor details. Now here is also catch, what is the supplier, vendor, or the manufacturer. Before raising the material approval request, you need to take the approval for the supplier or either the vendor or the manufacturer. Why? First you need to get it approved that this vendor or this supplier is approved or is eligible to supply the reinforcement steel to the project. So that supplier or vendor approved, that is called the pre-q or the pre-qualification or the subcontractor approval or the vendor supplier approval. That is that you need to take prior to submit the material approval request. So requester name and the contact treatment, who is requesting, that is project manager, quality manager, whatever, that to be mentioned in the material approval request. Then approval request number with the revision. Why? The every document for the quality control that must have the I document number and the revision and with the date. So these are the general information you need to provide whenever you are preparing material approval request for the steel. Then you need to provide the material details. What are the details you need to provide? Manufacturer trade license. That means who is the manufacturer? You need to provide the trade license. Why? You need to satisfy or you need to establish that this manufacturer is doing the legal business, that they are not doing any illegal business. In any project, it is very much important that for the statutory compliance, you need to submit the trade license. That means they are eligible to produce this material and they are eligible to supply the material to the site. Then ISO certificate. Nowadays every company has the ISO certificate, and every project, if the ISO certificate is not there, they are not accepting the material approval request. Then quality and safety procedure. What is the quality and safety procedure? Why it is required? That you need to ensure that if we are getting the material from them, it is not violating our project requirement or our quality requirement. That is why it is very much important to find out the what is the quality procedure and quality standard. Then material specification and standard. Now here, what is my material? That is reinforcement steel. Suppose you need 8 dia, 10 dia, 12 dia, 16 dia, 20 dia, 25, 32, and maybe you need 500 or 500D or the ductility. So you need to mention that 8 dia 550 grade or 550D grade concrete. So according to your specification, you need to mention what is the dia of the bar and what type of bar. This is a CRS bar or the HYSD bar or the TMT bar. That is also you need to mention in your material details. So there are different types of bar that is used in the construction, and I have made a detailed video on that. If you want to know, please click in the link or in the description. You will get the full information that what type of different types of bars used in the construction and what is the specification and everything. Then relevant specification clause. Why it is required? But because every project has their specification. So you need to mention in the material approval request that these are the clause number, maybe clause number 13.2.1. That is you have to mention. Then relevant BOQ line of item. Why it is be required? Because maybe in the specification has specified something and in the BOQ line item is the separate. So if it is there, that first you need to raise the RFI to find out which one has to follow. Okay, that is why BOQ line item and the specification has to mention or has to attach with the material approval request whenever we are dealing with any type of material approval request. Then compliance statement. Now, why this? What is this compliance statement? The compliance statement is that we are ensuring that whatever the specification is mentioning and whatever the material we are supplying, that they are complying with the specification. Suppose it is saying that we need 550D grade steel. Now, what is my mention? That is the tensile strength. What is required? That is 550. And what is specification? 550. What we are proposing? 550. So that means complies. Now, if you are saying my requirement is 550 and we are proposing 415, then it is not compliant. That means this material will not approve. That is what is the criteria that has to mention, that is what is the diameter, what is the who is the manufacturer, what is the tensile strength, what is the yield strength, what is the bend state, what is the rebend test, what is the percentage of elongation, what is the carbon percentage. As per the specification it is mentioned, and what is we are proposing that also has to mention. And if what is matching, then you say tick 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 everything. So this compliance statement is very much important, and it should be above all, before after the main MER sheet you need to attach this compliance statement. So with that compliance statement, anyone can find out if this is my specification and this is the proposal, so whether it is approved or not. Then previous project approval. Why it is required? Because we need to know that this company or the manufacturer has the similar kind of experience for our project, so it is actually qualifying them to supply the material. Then environmental approval. So that means with whether they have the environmental clearance or not. Why? Because we are always here, we are on the mother earth, and it is our duty to minimize the carbon footprint or the environmental impact. So that is also important, that check the whether is the environmental approval is there or not. So these are the material details you need to provide. What is the whenever we are preparing material approval request for the steel. Then what is the purpose? Where the rebar to be used? Suppose it is in the slab, it is in the ramp, or it is in the column, or it is in the beam, that the specific area we need to mention. Then any specific requirement, maybe it is required the epoxy coated steel or the CRS steel, that also is to mention in the material that 8 dia CRS steel to be used, and area of use is the foundation. So everything is there. Supply name is there, manufacturer is there, what is the diameter, that means material specification, 8 diator, and what is the special type of bar, that is CRS. So everything is there along with the compliance statement. Now, the next part is coming. What is the quality documentation? Now, it is very much important that we need to attach the quality document along with the material approval request to substantiate whatever the proposal we have given, that is substantiate with the certificate. What is the certificate? Test certificate and reports, and then it is third party test certificate we can attach, or the material test certificate in the MTC, where in the mill, that is along with the third party certificate we can attach, that is it is complying that whatever the yield stress, whatever the tensile strength, bend test, rebend test, that is are as per the requirement. Then conformity to relevant standard. Now, in our cases in India, we are using IS 1786 for the reinforcement. Now, whatever the IS 450 1786 is mentioning, what are the physical parameters, for the chemical parameters, that we need to input inside that. That is, it is as per the requirement of the IS 1786, and this is my third party test certificate. It is matching, hence it is conforming to the relevant standard or the IS 1786. Then inspection reports and records, maybe the MTC or third party test report, that I need to attach. Then country of origin. What is that country of origin? That means maybe it is not coming inside the country, from the outside of the country. Now, whenever this material is arriving at the site, how to ensure that this material has come from that country? So that is the country of origin certificate, that is also need to be attached with the quality documents, or whatever the MAR. The next is manufacturer or supplier information, that already is. What is the accreditation and certificates, previous performance history, and compliance with the regulatory requirements. So that is also I discussed. Next is what is the testing and inspection plan that we need to find out. First is the test certificate. The test certificate has to attach, and what will we attach? That is the mechanical properties and the chemical properties. Now, what is our code of IS code? That is 1786. Now, what is 1786 is mentioning, that we need to check. Let me see. Let me zoom it. The mechanical properties in the table 3, it is mentioning that if my grade is Fe 415, 41D, 500, 500D, 550, 550D, and 600. And here it is the, let me zoom it out again, 400. Here it is a proof stress, here the elongations is the tensile strength, and the total elongation is maximum. Suppose my grade of concrete is 500D. So what will be my proof stress? That is minimum 500. And what is the elongation? This maximum minimum is 16% elongation, and tensile strength 10% more than the actual 0.2% proof stress. So 500 plus 10%, that is 550 is the minimum, and it not less than the 560. So the proof stress can be 500, but the tensile stress is saying it is not less than the 565. And total elongation, that is a maximum, it is a 5%. So these parameter you need to satisfy whenever we are submitting the material approval request along with the third party test certificate, that it is to be mentioning that my parameter as per the IS 1786 is achieved. And another thing, so what is that is also mentioned in the IS 1786, that is a bend test and rebend test. That is also we need to satisfy along with that there is a no cracks or no bend, or whenever we are bend and rebend there is no cracks observed. That is also need to mention. The next is chemical properties. That is also mentioned in the IS 1786. See, a grade of steel Fe 415, 415D, 500, 500D, 500, 550D, 600. And here it's a carbon percent, sulfur percent, phosphorus, sulfate, and phosphorus. So what will be the maximum percentage? If it is 500D, 0.25 carbon, sulfur is 0.04, phosphorus is 0.04, sulfur and phosphorus is 0.075. Now, whenever you are submitting third party test certificate, we need to check that the third party certificate or the MTC, that is matching with this table in for the chemical and for the mechanical. If it is matching, then only we can say this material is conforming to IS 1786, which is the basis of the reinforcement steel. So this has to attach along with the material test report or the MAR, material approval request. Then frequency and inspection, that is also mentioned in the IS 1786. Let me see what it is mentioned. It is mentioned that all materials shall be subject to the routine inspection and testing by the manufacturer or the supplier in accordance with the standard, and a record of the test result of mechanical material conforming to the standard shall be kept by the manufacturer or the supplier. So routine test to be conducted. The record shall be available for inspection by the purchaser or his representative. Okay, so this also has given in the IS 450, sorry, IS 1786, that the frequency of testing. Then acceptance criteria as per IS 1786, that I already discussed, that for mechanical properties and the chemical properties, it is to be accepted if it is as per the guidelines given in the table 1 and the table 2 in the IS 1786, mechanical and chemical properties. So this has to match whenever we are submitting the material approval request for the steel. And now the safety and environmental condition, that what is the material safety data sheet, then environmental impact aspect, and the compliance with health and safety regulation. That means it has to ensure that the material whatever we are producing, that is environmental friendly and it is not directly affect the environment. So that is also the data has to attach along with the material approval request. Then handling and storage recommendation. So how to handle the material, how to store the material, that also you need to mention. So according to our IS code 4082, storage condition has given, that also has to mention that our product whenever it is coming to the site, it will be stored as per the IS recommendation. Then approval and authorization, names and signature of approving authority. So who is the authority for the approval, that name has to be mentioned. Then date of approval and any condition or restriction. Why? Because whenever we are submitting and material approval request to the client, they may reject the material, they may approve the material without any comment, or they may give some comment, that is called approve as noted, or revise and resubmit. So what is the approval notation? That means A, B, C, D. A is approved, B is approved as noted. That means some criteria has to satisfy before using the material, or revise and resubmit. So whatever the comments they have given, he has to revise and it to resubmit, and other is rejected. So what is the approval code? That is also to be mentioned. Then documentation review. That's already discussed. The review provided documents on compliances, verification compliances with the project specification and the IS code. Then alternative material or substitute. So if we are not getting, suppose we are getting material from brand A. Now it can be possible that we are not getting the brand A material due to some issues, whatever the may be the issues. So we cannot hold the projects if we are not getting the material from the brand A. Now we have to give the alternate proposal, may brand B or brand C, that in case we are not getting material from the brand A, we can get from the brand B. So material substitution also you need to give in your material approval request. Then communication notification. So whoever it is to be communicate or notify, that is also to be mentioned. Why? Because whenever you are raising material approval request, so after submission, where it will go, so whom to get submit, and if whenever it is approved, how it is to be distributed, everything to be mentioned in the material approval request. So that is called the communication matrix. And then feedback and continuous improvement, not need not to discuss. If we are getting any feedback from the client, we need to implement into our PDCA cycle, so that our product or our process will be refined and we will get the product as per the requirement. So these are the thing, how to make the material approval request, or how to raise the material approval request for the reinforcement steel in the construction. And I hope you find it useful, and if you find it useful, kindly subscribe my channel and hit the bell icon, so that whenever I upload a new video, you will get immediate notification. I'm waiting for your valuable comments, so that from your valuable comment, everybody will be benefited. And if you want to know anything more about quality control and construction, please let me know. I will come with more content like this. Thank you once again for watching me.